two women who accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct are now facing legal problems of their own. After a lengthy inquiry, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley is asking the Department of Justice to investigate both women for possibly lying and obstructing a congressional investigation. One case involves Julie Swetnick. In a sworn statement, she accused Kavanaugh of drugging women who were then gang raped, but repeatedly contradicted aspects of her own statement in an interview.
Did you see Brett Kavanaugh, spiking the punch, putting green alcohol in the punch? I saw him giving red Solo cups to quite a few girls during that time frame. I don't know what he did, but I saw him buy them, yes. I would see boys standing outside of rooms, congregated together, sort of like a gauntlet, and I didn't know what was occurring.
The second involves a woman named Judy Monroe Layton, who claimed that Kavanaugh raped her. But according to investigators, she later admitted that it was, quote, just a ploy and that she'd never met Brett Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh, of course, was confirmed, but his reputation may be forever tarnished.
Ashley and I knew this process would be challenging. We never expected that it would devolve into this. Explaining this to our daughters has been about the worst experience of our lives.
So joining me now in a story exclusive, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, Republican from Iowa. Chairman Grassley, good to have you with us today. A lot of people would ask, this is behind us now. So what's the point in continuing to pursue the claims of these two women? What would you tell them?
We have to be able to make it very clear to the entire public that lying to Congress is a felony on a couple sections of our code, and we want to make sure that the process not only of confirming Supreme Court justices, but of course almost anything where you want to take testimony from the general public, that you want to know that it's truthful. Yeah. And because every one of these things that come in, whether it's anonymous or whether there's a name connected with it, it takes a lot of hours for staff to follow up to see if it's legitimate. And we want to discourage coming to Congress with information that not only hurts individuals, but is outright wrong, and you spend a lot of resources of the federal government to follow up on it. And so we want to discourage that, and that's why we have urged the FBI and the Justice Department to follow up to see if prosecution is legitimate. Congress can't prosecute, but we can suggest things that are wrong, and we have a responsibility to turn over to the proper law enforcement people when we know that a crime may have been committed.
Okay, so with regard to Ms. Monroe Layton, there was a Jane Doe letter that was written about a horrific situation. In this Jane Doe letter, Jane Doe said that she was raped in the back of a car by the judge who was trying to become the next Supreme Court justice, which he ultimately did. Now, then this woman, Monroe Layton, she then called your office, as I understand it, and said, that was me. I'm the person who claimed that, and no longer a Jane Doe. What did you learn about her? What did your investigators learn about her? And what did she say once you found her?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was an anonymous letter that came from California through Senator Harris of California. Mm-hmm. And then it was anonymous at that point. And so we'd follow up, and we were able to track the name down of this lady. And following up with her, we found out that it was just a stunt on her part, and she admitted so much. But it may have been something that was funny to her at the time, or she wanted to get part of the action. She may have not liked Justice Kavanaugh, whatever reasons, I don't know. But the point is, it took a lot of time of our staff to follow up, because we have a responsibility to follow up on all that, and we've got to discourage that, and that's why she was likewise turned over to the FBI for investigation.
Yeah, she said, I did it as a way to grab attention. I was angry, so I sent it out. She said it was a tactic and a ploy, and that she was opposed to the nomination. So she's saying that she didn't actually write the original letter. She just said she did because she wanted to jump on the bandwagon, as I understand it. Now, with regard to Julie Swetnick and Michael Avenatti, her attorney, we showed some of the contradictions that she pointed out in the interview that were different than the original statement that she made that was submitted to your committee. Here's what Michael Avenatti is saying about your committee pursuing this with the DOJ. He says, Chuck Grassley's partisan report is garbage. There is no evidence that my client or I did anything wrong. We are still waiting and hoping the FBI fully investigates this matter. Chuck evidently didn't have any juice, he says.
Well, first of all, he got very personal with me. You didn't read that part of it, but it kind of tells me what generally happens when lawyers don't have the facts on their side. Then they start attacking the individual. But also, he asked in one of his TV interviews, he said that he's glad to have this whole thing opened up because the facts will get out. I don't know how many more facts you can get out than 32 hours of questioning by every member of the committee, and then 1,200 questions that were put to him in writing. What other information could get out that hasn't already been asked and answered?
Well, let me ask you this. Do you plan to pursue or reopen or refer to the DOJ anything with regard to Dr. Christine Blasey Ford or Deborah Ramirez?
At this point, no. But we put out a 414-page report over the weekend that I would refer you and that leaves open the possibility of further investigations and further action that can be taken. But right now, I'm not in a position, not because I don't want to answer your question, I just don't have an answer for you.
Okay, and last question. If Democrats do take over control of the House, there's some, or the Senate, which could happen as well, of course, there's some discussion that they might reopen the investigation, possibly into perjury, of Judge Kavanaugh. Your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on it are that with everything that's been coming up, everything accusation that's been made, and none of it stuck, and they don't find any problems with his record of 12 years on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and everything they threw at him personally, nothing stuck to the wall. It just seems to me that they're going down a wild goose chase. They can do anything they want to, but to say after 4 days and 100 days that he was before the United States, 4 days of hearings and 100 days before the Senate, before he was approved, that's about a third longer than the average Supreme Court justice has. If they think they can bring something out, let them go to it. But I think they're barking up a tree.
All right. Senator Chuck Grassley, thank you very much, Chairman. It's always good to see you. Thank you for being here tonight.
You bet. Thank you, Martha.